Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Waymi Ogu. We're happy that you're here for the TechConnect 2.0. I mean, when I stepped in and I saw everyone, I was like, wow. Beautiful faces. I've had conversations with a couple of people this morning, and I would say that I've learned quite a lot just this morning. I'd like to, Hossein, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah,
I think I've gone ahead of you, Sha, but go ahead.
That I was having a co-host today, and there she is, Waymi Ogu. Put your hands together for her. Everyone for coming for this event once again. I understand we have people online that joined via Zoom and other social media networks, right?
Yes.
And we'd like to recognize all of you joining online as well. Thank you for joining. The program actually started. Breakfast was served. I hope you guys had a good one. Did you have a good breakfast?
Please, if you've not had anything, please feel free to go back and get something.
Exactly. And once again, to thank everyone for coming for this event. Despite the challenges getting here this morning, you guys took your time out to come. I know some of you are trying to balance attending your meetings.
Yeah, some laptops are open.
You know, and I know you guys do a lot of work.
Yeah, some laptops are open.
You know, and I know you guys do a lot of work every day. So it's a big, should I say, congratulate them for stepping out and making it for this event once
Please,
more.
can we give a round of applause? Let's just encourage ourselves with a round of applause. Thank you.
Speaking of, we have a couple of people in this auditorium today. I'm sure you can look at the theme of this event. You have very loungy arrangements. The idea, just as a theme of the event, is we are actually collaborating for industry development. And we're looking for an avenue where you guys can actually talk to one another. Everyone here is a contributor and a major driver of our digital ecosystem in this country, our financial ecosystem in Nigeria. You guys have contributed a great deal to the improvement of our economy. Each and every one of you plays a crucial part. I know sometimes you might not look at yourself in that way, but today, when you go back home, look at the mirror, look at yourself, that you're a major contributor to what's happening financially in this country.
All right, thank you so much. Speaking about collaboration and networking, I know that we're all seated, nicely dressed and all, and you might not know who is seated next to you. So it would be nice if you could just do quick introductions. The person who's seated beside you or within your bucket of buckets. So please, let's just introduce ourselves.
Your lounge area.
Because we're going to come around and say, auntie in the red dress, who's the guy in the blue suit? We're going to do that kind of assignment shortly, and it will be nice for you to pass.
Speaking of, just to help you all with acknowledging and knowing who is here, we have a couple of people represented here, banks, PSBs, and telcos. This event is actually a two-day event. Today we are hosting the banks, PSB, and telcos. Tomorrow we'll be hosting fintechs and microfinance banks and other financial institutions.
Well, Nicholson, you missed out on the cocktail tomorrow.
Yes.
So tomorrow, it's going to be fun. We're going to have alternate sound, and we're going to have Oke Bakassi as our host and comedian for the evening. So it'll be nice to also have you there.
Yeah, I'm actually saving the best for last.
Oh, yes.
You know, so let's keep the professional part first, then we'll take the social angle as well.
Yeah.
So like I said before, what we're looking forward to, we're not just having one of those events where you have panel sessions and we talk. What Interswitch is celebrating today is celebrating each individual that has contributed to the improvement of our financial economy in Nigeria, and we're driving this digital economy. We have a couple of people here. We have people from banks. Sterling Bank is in this place.
Yeah.
We have Providence Bank in the space as well. I've met people from Echo Bank.
Yes. Can we just give a round of applause as we call these banks? We have Standard Chartered. We have First Bank, Wema Bank, Unity Bank, Guaranteed Trust Bank. We have Echo Bank, Providence, and Paralex.
Yeah.
And if you're here, if you represent any of these banks, please, a round of applause for yourselves.
Yeah, we also have SunTrust Bank here.
Yes.
If you're here, SunTrust Bank, are you here? Just wave. I met the guys at back here.
Oh,
nice.
yes.
We have SunTrust Bank here. Polaris Bank here. You can wave wherever you are. First Bank, did you mention First Bank? Standard Chartered Bank is here as well. Jai's Bank is in the building. Can Jais wave your hand where you are? Yes, right. yes, my Abuja people. You know, and Parallax, you mentioned Parallax.
Yes, earlier. I did. Yes, I did.
I think we have some PSBs in this space as well. I mentioned a PSB earlier. 2 PSBs, right? Okay, so while we move on, so like we said before, let's not feel estranged. People here are people you know, and they're people you're getting to meet. While we prepare for the next line of events and things that'll be happening, so just sit down, relax. We have a lot of things packaged for you already.
Yeah, so I think we should do that quick assignment now. Just going around to get, let's know if some people had names of people on their. Where should I go to? Where should I go to? All right, I'm here. Morning. Good morning. Your name, ma?
Morning, Ebon.
Okay. Good morning, ma.
Amina. Ebon.
Okay. I think you guys came together. So I will come here. Nicholson, are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Awesome. We need to catch people that did not do this assignment today. All right. Good morning, ma. Please, what's his name?
Ayo from Polaris Bank. No, Sterling Bank.
Ayo from Polaris. Ayo from Polaris. Okay. Good morning, sir. Please, what's his name, sir?
His name is Mr. Moike from Daily Times.
Nicholson is like our guest on point, so I haven't found anyone that did not get this game.
Yeah, they took the time and they follow instructions, I believe.
Okay, let me do one more, please. Permission. Good morning. Please, ma. What's his name?
Sorry, I'm going to be the one to. I'm going to be the one to break the chain. We haven't spoken yet. Sorry.
All right, so I think we have someone who did not get it. So okay. I'm sure as we proceed, we'll take rounds.
Very much, Wayne. Put your hands together for us once again. I would want to encourage for those who haven't had breakfast, go ahead and still have breakfast and relax, and the event has started. The next person that's coming up will be coming up very soon. So I want you to prepare, and while we have our guest that's going to speak to us for the opening of this event properly.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right, put your hands together for yourselves again. Thank you. Sistigra, named Robinta, and she'll be coming up to give a brief remark on as we start off this event. Put your hands together as we welcome Robinta. Come on, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Robinta.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Robinta Alui. I manage sales for Nigeria and Africa. We'd like to welcome you to this session. We'd like to also apologize for the delay, and special apologies from Mitchell. He'll still join us at some point. Why are we here, really? The essence is to have a platform as an industry leader and where industry players can sort of network, they can address critical issues that are troubling the ecosystem and work together to create innovative solutions for our customers, for our partners, to ensure that we have a more robust payment infrastructure. Thank you to the banks. Today our customers span around the financial service industry, so we have commercial banks here. I'd like to say thank you. We have, I think tomorrow we're going to have the microfinance banks, the fintechs. We want to have a platform where we can collaborate, co-create, create cutting-edge solutions to ensure that our retail and customers and even end customers are comfortable and can deal in the payment system ecosystem. So we have a couple of new solutions we'll be showcasing today around fraud, around digital in a box, around tokenization and the likes of it. So please indulge us. It's going to be an interactive session, and I would like to formally welcome you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robinta. A round of applause, please, for Robinta. Thank you. You look lovely, by the way. All right. So we played a game last time, and we're going to do that shortly. But just to proceed in the event, I would like to invite Olufemi Davis. He is the group head products for PurePay Interswitch, and he's going to be speaking to us on tokenization. How many of us know about tokenization? Just hands raised, please. Any idea whatsoever? If you've heard it before, if you've seen a demo. So we're going to learn a lot today. A round of applause for Olufemi Davis as he comes. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, Femi. Is your mic working? Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Good morning, everyone. It's good to be here. Always nice, standing in front of the audience to speak about new or trending technology. So tokenization. If we look at our world today, seamless, convenient, safety is paramount, not only to payments, but the way of life. We are now in a world where people want to sit in the convenience of their homes or just walk by and get things done at the tap of a finger. Tokenization will enable us to get there. This technology, it's secure, and of course, it will allow you to process transactions without exposing the security details of your card. So how does it work? Today, many people make the mistake of thinking card on file is the same thing as tokenization. I'll simplify it. Tokenization is the elder brother to card on file. For you to tokenize a card, these are the steps. So when a customer enrolls his card, maybe online or in a wallet. So just as an example, you have your bank app and you want to tokenize your card such that you can now start using that card, that mobile device to make payments. Tokenization drives many use cases. It drives the tap to pay. It also drives the online transactions to secure it more, and I will explain. So you will take your card, and then you first enroll your PAN on that device, which is the step one. So what happens that once you enroll the card, right, the service provider would request, for the token from Interswitch. What do we mean by that? Let's assume you have Bank A, and your customer is trying to tokenize his card. We have a token vault, right, where you have several encryption, and then we'll supply a token for that card at the point of enrollment. What that does is that token would stand in place of the card details. So the card details is protected. So, and that's step 3. When we share the token, then the issuer would be able to use that token, right, to replace the card details on that device, e.g. your mobile phone. So at that point, you now go to step 4. So once it is approved and the token is stored on the device, then the requester can now start using the card online or on his mobile in a tokenized form. Now, breaking it down to real-life scenario. I have my physical card, and I want to put it on my mobile. The information stored, on that other platform that is outside the card management system is the tokenized information. I'll explain the advantage of that. So the use cases. First of all, let me go to the one a lot of people, mix up, which is card on file versus tokenization. Card on file is when you go to a merchant, you put your card details on the site, and then subsequently you can pay for subscriptions, without entering your card details again. Or like the ride apps, where you can then book a ride, and then without entering your card details again, your card can be debited. For card on file, the actual PAN is what is stored. In the case of tokenization, every other place you go except the card management system and the scheme, what you will see are tokens. So it means when I'm paying for my subscription, on things like maybe Netflix or wherever, what you have on the various merchant database is a tokenized value of your card details. So it means in event of any breach, which we don't expect, but in the event of any breach, what is exposed is the token. And once the breach is discovered and the token is blocked, your card is still safe to be used on other merchants or sites. So it reduces the exposure for the entire ecosystem. I don't know if you are with me. Do we get that? Because I needed to distinguish between card on file and tokenization. If you are with me, please just say, hey. Excellent. I love you guys. Other use cases, you can tokenize and have your tokenized value on different devices. We are getting to a level where even your wearables could be used for payments. You go to a store, you shop, and at the point of checkout, because you've tokenized either your phone or your wristwatch, all you need to do is just to pass through or probably just tap that device on the payment instrument. Then you can just walk away with your groceries. The payment will be taken because you have a That is another use case. Also, today, we don't forget our phones most of the time when we go out. But there's a possibility to forget your wallet. So it means by the time we have tokenized instruments everywhere, and then we have merchants that accept tap-to-pay payments or other forms of tokenized payments, it means with your phone or other devices, it could even be your shoe. You can actually go out, just walk past.
It's a good thing, it's an advancing technology. But I want to find out how protected are the user data against fraud or theft. Because, for instance, you say this, the card details, right, are going to be tokenized, right, to prevent sensitive information going out. So how is it going to be protected against theft? And if fraud eventually, assuming I tokenize, from your explanations, right,
yeah.
assuming I tokenize something or something is tokenized, and let's say it's on my phone, and my phone gets stolen, and my second question is, how is your response team to the fraud case or theft or whatever that goes on? Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. So thank you very much. So for tokenization, the actual PAN details is not stored outside the card management system. So in event of a breach, it is the tokens that will be harvested. And once those tokens, once they are disabled, then it is useless to whoever has harvested the tokens. Also, when you harvest tokens that were not tokenized on your own site, those values are useless outside that merchant site. Because in tokenization, there's a lot of encryption that happens, between the merchant to the issuer. So the information harvested is useless. So that's the first one. So that's the first case scenario of harvesting tokenized value from a merchant online store. Okay. Now, the other scenario of where I've tokenized my card and it is on my mobile app, for instance, so that I can tap to pay, and somebody steals my phone. Again, because it's on your app, which today is protected by other security information, e.g. your mobile PIN, your transaction PIN. For the person that stole your phone to use your phone to tap to pay, you will need access into that app. Just like the same way you need access, into the app before you can transfer today. So it's until you get that access before you can now tap. So it still rides on the security of your mobile app, of your issuer or bank.
Okay. A question here.
Because that's why I just answered that. If the phone is stolen, then they cannot have access to tap with your phone because the person will still need to log into your app before he can tap with your phone. So I'll need to log into your transaction app for you to tap and pay with my phone. So again, it's useless at that point. Also, if you report that mobile app stolen to your issuer, the tokenized value, that token can be rendered useless. Also another way to make the tap to phone on that phone useless to any other person. All right, thank you very much.
A question here. My name is Imao Konji. I write for This Day newspaper. Yeah. Now, still on tokenization. If I tokenize one of my devices, and I go out with it, maybe to a merchant shop for shopping. And after shopping, I use it, as means of payment. Maybe I forgot that my account is zero, or maybe I've used it and I didn't know the account is zero. Will the merchant accept that transaction, which I've already done, so that when the account is credited, maybe much later, Then anytime the account is credited, he can do the deduction. Is that possible on the system? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So tokenization is a security layer, and it doesn't change the authorization model that you have on your card, on your account. So if your card is a debit card warrants that you have enough balance in your account for you to transact. That authorization model continues to exist even after tokenization. So it runs on the authorization model of that card. Where your card is a credit card and you have access to credit, of course, your credit limit would continue to run for any transaction that you do. So your transaction will not be successful if your account is not funded.
Did you get your answer? Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any other questions? Please don't be shy. Just go ahead and ask your questions, please. Okay, thank you.
Good morning, sir. Do you mind if I stand? All right, thank you. Good morning. My name is Jimmy, FSDH Merchant Bank. I'm not sure you, to my satisfaction, answered his question on fraud when it comes to replay attacks. I'm sure you have some complexity you have done to ensure that a token is single use, right? I would like to understand that. My own question is novel technology, I think it's a lovely idea. But what is your role in ensuring that your other stakeholders are involved? Because what I see, even from this diagram, that you've increased the surface of attack. Because now every device that participates in this tokenization becomes a medium of attack. So my mobile phone, my diesel tank, my smart fridge, right? So what is your role in educating other stakeholders that may use the tokenization to ensure that the ecosystem or platform there's a general sense of security?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And fortunately, collaboration is one of the things that will be discussed in panel sessions that would follow. Education in payments is a continuous thing because technology keeps changing. With collaborative effort with the entire industry, on a general note, we're already collaborating, on improving security. Customer education, merchant education is surely ongoing. Our current partners are also enlightening their customers. Of course, we are not also going to leave it to just the partners. As Interswitch, security is also very important to us. And security, I would address security like this. Even when interoperability payments started in Nigeria sometime in 2003, which Interswitch powered, we ran it for a while. And sometime around 2007, because we're using magnetic stripe cards, we saw a large rise in fraud, despite education. And the fraudsters were phishing. And then thanks to the regulator, Central Bank, that now mandated that every issuer should move to EMV cards, and every acquirer should only treat transactions at EMV. That collaboration, because there was collaboration between regulators and stakeholders. And by 2009, when we migrated to EMV, at that point, the fraud level dropped. So security is for all of us, and we cannot run away from this new technology. So like you rightly said, we'll continue to collaborate with partners, other industry players, and regulators to ensure safety of not just tokenization, but every new technology that we release. Again, tokenization, depending on the use case. You can tokenize a card for just one transaction or a couple of transactions. I can tokenize a card and then use it and say this value will be useful for just 4 transactions on this merchant side. So even when you harvest, it's useless to you. It's a beautiful technology that not only enables simplicity, it also improves security. It's the backbone of tomorrow. Does that answer your question, sir? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Femi. Of course, we know security is a major issue in this our climb. But there's just one more question, and we'll move into biometrics. Okay.
All right. Sorry, my name is Femi from First Bank. I'm still on the security issue. When you tokenize your app, okay, and do tap and go, for instance, I think there should be another security layer. For instance, on the USSD, once I've compromised my phone, or maybe the bad guys force me to even put my details, they take my phone, I can dial an emergency code, okay, with even a third-party phone, and I'm able to block my account such that nobody takes money away from the account. So even if my phone is taken by the bad guys and they do tap and go because I've tokenized, I should be able to use a third-party phone, maybe a friend, to dial a code and block my account such that that thing doesn't go through. Is that not a case we can consider? Thank you.
First of
Wow.
all,
That's a very interesting question. Very, very interesting.
you got it, Nicholson. And first of all, I'm not surprised by the question. You heard his name, Femi. Femi is a very intelligent citizen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put your hands together for the Femis in the house, please. Do we have any other Femi, by the way? Even if it's your middle name. Okay, there's another one. Yeah, there's another Femi here from Unity Bank. Any other Femi in the house? It doesn't. Femi is a unisex name, by the way, right?
It is.
So if it's your middle name, you can just represent. All right.
All right. So Femi, I'll divide your question into two. First of all, if you take my mobile app, if you take my mobile phone, can you transact? As the issuer of the mobile phone, I would have put some security before you can even transact. And I use an example of the one currently in the market. Before you can even transact, you have to log in with your transaction PIN. The same way you use your transaction PIN to do your transfers today. So it's until you log in, and then you have a few seconds to tap to make that payment. So first of all, even if you steal my mobile phone, you need to also know my transaction PIN to even enable that device for tap to pay. Okay. So that is first protection. So you cannot just steal my phone and start tapping everywhere like a wine. Second protection is if you steal my phone, just like you have today that you can disable, your card, you can disable your account. If you call your bank, two things can happen. The token can be destroyed so that mobile phone is no longer linked to that token value. First protection. Second protection, if you are not even comfortable, just like we do today, the card can be blocked. We won't encourage that because it means other places where you have tokenized that card will also not work. But it's also another layer of protection. The last layer of protection, which is also what we have today, is that there can be a temporary block on your account. Our preference for simplicity will be to dissociate that device from that token so that you can continue to enjoy payments on other devices and other places that you have tokenized. I hope that answers your questions. 3 levels of security. Fantastic.
All right. Thank you very much, Femi. I think that will take, if you still have questions for tokenization, please, you can just put it together and you can always send it out to your account manager or whoever you can see here. Maybe during lunch, we'll probably be having a meet and greet. But one thing I want you to be rest assured for, today's event, like I said before, is not just any other event. Okay, we're going to be having very, very authentic conversations, not scripted, authentic conversations. So do not be shy to ask your questions for the products that we're introducing to you. So I believe, Femi, are you ready for the biometrics presentation?
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much, Femi. So enjoy the next presentation, please. Thank you.
Okay. So for biometrics, again, in Interswitch, we think technology, we think globalized technology, which is globalization, and we also think about the domestic niche of our technology. So that brings us to biometrics. Our biometrics is different from some of the biometrics you see outside the shores of the country, where you have biometrics, on your card, which we refer to as offline biometrics authentication. For us, our biometric solution will be relying on online biometrics authentication. So we go. Today, we have banks and other people that support biometrics transactions on their ATMs. Everybody that has a BVN has his or her biometrics information somewhere, securely stored. Likewise, if you have NIN. So we have biometrics servers online, in Nigeria already. What we are trying to do, or what we have done with selected partners and now want to grow, is biometrics authentication for our transactions. Whether I'm with my card or not with my card, with my phone or not with my phone, I should be able to transact. That is where biometrics authentication comes in. The idea for this is, today we have agents everywhere, and we've seen that Nigerians have adopted agency banking. One of the modes of payments that Interswitch has done now, which other partners can ride on to take financial inclusion to the next level, is biometric switching, where you can walk, and this is the process flow of how it works. A customer can walk to an agent. Now, I'm focusing on agent now. You see some other terminals there. You see the ATM there, and then you see some other terminals. But we are focusing on the use case in Nigeria, which is typically POS or mobile. So where you walk to the agent, and then you are able to tell the agent, I want to withdraw X amount, or I want to transact, maybe get airtime or something. And then the agent authenticates you by telling you to put your fingerprint on a device or a biometrics-enabled POS. Once that transaction is taken on that POS, it is sent upstream to the acquirer through the terminal management system, and the acquirer sends it to Interswitch that sits in the middle. What we have done at Interswitch is to ensure that the issuer or the customer owner is also comfortable by being the one that will send the transaction for authentication on biometrics and authorization on your account balance. So once we send the transaction to our infrastructure at the issuer end, two things will happen. The first thing is your biometrics information is first authenticated via the BVN database. At the point of transaction, you have supplied your phone number and you have supplied your fingerprint. We would send that for authentication. And once it is authenticated and we get an approval message that, yes, this fingerprint belongs to this customer, authorization now goes to your core banking application where the balance is authorized and the transaction is either approved or declined. Where it is approved, the agent can give you value in form of cash, or whatever transaction you are doing, you would get value. whether you are paying for your bills or buying airtime. Okay. Now, many of us would ask, what happens? How do I monitor these transactions? What we have done is to ensure that the transactions can be monitored with the existing payment infrastructure that you have. So transaction monitoring can be done by the super agent, where this is being offered by a super agent, or by the bank, if the bank is the one offering this solution to their customers. Settlement, of course, is done at T+1, like typically do today, where funds is moved from the issuer to the acquirer. And of course, for dispute resolution, we'll also run through the existing dispute platform called Arbiter by Interswitch. Why do we want to do this? Security. Your biometric information belongs to only you. Please don't be scared. Nobody can cut your thumb to make transactions. The cells will be dead and it will not work. So cutting of thumb will not happen. Enhanced user experience. I don't need to have anything for me to transact. Again, there would be transaction limits, just like we have today. So every issuer also knows the kind of customer they have, and they'll be able to determine the various transaction limits for their customers, just like we have today for cards and other payment tokens. Again, it's hard to spoof. Our solution ensures encryption from the device, right from the device, till the transaction gets to the issuer. So in event of spoofing, whatever you get will be useless to you. Similar to the way that nobody can spoof your PIN during transaction from end to end. For this solution, people might ask about the commercials. We'll be relying on our existing commercial model that we have, for agent banking partnership. In this place, we will not discuss too much on commercials, but we'll be focused more on the technology. But this solution ensures that every stakeholder in the chain, is happy, and there's no loss to anyone in the chain. Interested? Definitely. These are the next steps. Sign up a contract. We share technical requirements. Let's go in Nigeria. Let's change the face of payments in Africa. And let's do this together. Thank you.
A round of applause for Mr. Femi Davis and all the Femis in the house.
Thank you very much.
All right. Do we have any questions, please? Show of hands. Questions? Does anyone have any questions? Femi. Oh, okay. All right, sir. All right, sir, your question.
I didn't say I have a question. Thank you, Femi.
All right. I think Mr. Frank wanted us to hear his voice. And that's Mr. Frank Atat from Providus Bank. Nice to have you, sir. Femi, I think you did a great job. We don't have any... we have a question. Praise the Lord. All right. Please, you would introduce yourself and let us know the bank organization.
San is my name, Jais Bank. Femi did a great job. So my asking question does not detract from that. Thank you. My question will be this. When a customer places the thumb, okay, as a customer, these days, it may happen that I have accounts across banks, right? Maybe I have accounts with, let's say, 3 banks. Of course, my BVN is my BVN across these banks. So when I get to a terminal, to be precise, as an example, and I place my finger, what is going to happen at that point? Is it that the terminal will list my accounts across the banks so that I can select which one am I transacting with, or what will happen? Or I have to enter my account number? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Very good question. So, at the point of transacting, one of the things you would select on the terminal is the bank you would like to transact from. So once you select the bank you want to transact from, the transaction will be routed to that bank. So that bank will be the issuer of that transaction, and it is your account in that bank that the transaction will be dated from.
All right. Does that address your question?
Let now say, of course, in my bank, I have 3 accounts. Currently what we have with card, as it is now, you say savings or current, in which case, expectedly, you must have done the linking before then. You don't say savings or you say current. The terminal knows which one, or system knows which one to. Now, in this case, I'll put my fingerprint. I place my thumb, my fingerprint will be captured, and I've specified my bank. And let us say I have 2 or more. Let's say I have 2 accounts with that bank I've specified. What happens from there?
Okay. Thank you very much. You see, at Interswitch, we provide platforms, and we leave room for innovation for our partners. So this would depend on your organization and the acquirer's organization. And I'll start putting scenarios to it. If in your bank, for instance, if you see that your customers don't mind you selecting a default account for them, so the transaction will go to your default account. We have seen organizations that will take this a notch higher, that would say, if your default account is not funded, then it picks your second account. So would allow that flexibility. That flexibility happens at the issuer end, because we don't want to control everything. We don't want to stifle innovation. We believe our partners are very innovative, and everybody will create a niche for themselves. So again, if the acquirer also wants it to go to specific accounts, then the acquirer might say, okay, only current accounts. I don't know if any acquirer will do that, because that will be limiting yourself. We are not going to block innovation. We are creating a platform where you can come on and decide your customer experience from an issuer perspective and from an acquirer perspective.
All right. Thank you, Femi. Thank you, sir, for that amazing. Yeah. Okay, we have another question.
Thank you. Apart from the fingerprint for the biometric, are we also considering facial recognition in future as well as part of the biometric authentication? Thank you.
So thank you, Femi. Possibilities are limitless. We are starting with fingerprints today, but we are not stopping there. In future, of course, there's possibility of facial recognition. There's possibility of everything, even things you cannot dream of today. Our job at Interswitch is to ensure that when we get to that level, we would get Nigeria to that level.
All right. Thank you, Femi. I have another question here.
Okay. My name is Hosseini Obaze, Keystone Bank. Okay. I'm more concerned about the uptime, the availability. How stable will this be? Because from the way you explained, it's going to be online authentication, which means it's going to be sitting with you. So I don't believe if there's a downtime, maybe at your end, what will happen? Or how often, how long will this be up? Basically uptime availability.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I want to let you know that I pride myself that we work with an organization that promises 99.9 uptime, and the industry is enjoying today.
Please, a round of applause for Interswitch and our partners. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.
From us and our partners, right, we have business continuity. So, but in the event of any downtime, the biometrics information doesn't sit with Interswitch, like you said. We have partners in this chain. So it doesn't sit with us. And because of that, even if there's any downtime on this platform, we have other channels which we have provided for you to transact. And which is why you see that today we've already presented tokenization. We are presenting biometrics. And of course, we still have other modes of transacting. Our dream is for Nigeria to continue to transact. However, my first statement still holds forth. Interswitch is not an organization that will give you downtime. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Femi. Another question here.
Okay, thank you very much, Femi. My name is Gabriel from Lotus Bank. So my question is this. For biometrics to happen, the first thing is that there's going to be something like registration, right? So for that registration, where does it stored? Do you have it even stored with Interswitch? Probably, maybe you have it in the cloud or you have it on premise. That is one. Secondly, for your customers, I'm talking in respect of banks now. Are we going to have it, maybe for my customers, to have it locally even stored with me for my customers, so that there will be quick reference, even for such biometrics in case of transactions? And in that wise, do we also have it, do you have it, maybe you have the option of storing it probably in the cloud or on premise at the same time? Do you have that option there? I think I'm asking two questions in one now, right?
Thank you, Gabriel. Your first question is on registration. For biometrics, there is no registration. As long as you have a BVN, that customer can transact using biometrics. So you do not need to onboard your customers all over again. So that answers the first question. On the second question, that do we store your biometrics data? The answer is no. Okay, the slide is no longer there. So the biometrics information is stored on the BVN database today. We are relying on that same secure database for this solution.
All right. Thank you so much, Femi. We have one last question before we proceed.
Thank you, Femi. My name is Chuka Mokwanya. I work with Parlex Bank. So someone had asked part of what I wanted to talk about, which has to do with having multiple biometric options like the iris, the vein, and all of that. So today we're also talking about customer experience, quick to check out and all that. For instance, my mobile phone now, the fingerprint is bad, so I use the face. And we also know that most banks' app today, you can only log into your mobile payment application using my biometric, but you can't check out. You can't authorize a transaction. So if my fingerprint is bad now, can I also authenticate using other methods?
Okay, thank you very much. As at today, the only method we can authenticate for biometrics transaction is with your fingerprint. This is the device that a merchant or an acquirer can make available to their agents. This device can work on any Android phone or Android device. You simply connect it to the phone. In event, your terminal is a phone, and you're able to transact using biometrics. Again, if you have biometrics-enabled POS, that can also work. So while we are innovating, we are also looking at what will be commercially viable too for the industry. So as at now, what we have developed is on the fingerprint, but like I said, we are not stopping. In future, we would do other biometrics authentication, face, vein, and anything that we can think of today and we are not even thinking about today.
All right. A round of applause for Olufemi Davis. Femi, thank you so much for that presentation. Femi presented on tokenization and biometrics. Thank you very much. We had a little game before we started, and I know that a couple of people have joined us since then. So I'll just give us 1 minute. If you haven't introduced yourself to the person beside you or within your sitting area, can we just do that quickly? Because you never know who would be the answer to your challenge, if I must say. And then at some point, we'll go around and ask questions. Yeah, some people have started already. Let me move to this side and introduce myself. All right. All right. People are really, that's what we're talking about. All right. So we'll go around shortly and ask our questions. To take us further, I would like to introduce Nicholson Aleke. A round of applause, please, for Nicholson as he steps forward. Round of applause, please. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right. Okay. So maybe, don't go yet. All right. So we had an interesting session, questions asked, but did everybody get like a grasp of what we're introducing into the industry, the products that we have out there? Did everybody get their questions answered fully? But like I said before, if you still have questions, just put the questions together, reach out to anybody and, of the Interswitch guys that are around, and we will take your questions and give you the right answers to them. All right, so we're having a session next now, and it's going to be another session of authentic conversation, and it's the panel session, right? Go to the panel, and where we're going to discuss certain very key conversations. I emphasize on the key aspects because, like I said at the beginning of the event, every individual here is a major contributor to what is happening in our economy. Every person here is responsible for what is going on in the industry. I pretty much like the questions around security, questions on how best to put these products out there into the hands of the end users. Security, of course, is a major aspect that we all are responsible for. So in light of that, we're going to be having a panel session to discuss more around collaboration. I like what the Femis did here when they were speaking, and they quickly engaged and exchanged ideas. Now we're going to be speaking in that light as well, and I'll be introducing the panelists. Are you ready? Is the audience ready for this session?
We are.
Okay.
Are you joking with us? Please, go ahead.
All right, so I can see some very friendly faces here, my favorite people. But don't worry, I'm not going to announce you, so don't be afraid. But first off, let me introduce this individual. Okay, first person on my panel. He is a dynamic, result-oriented, success-driven business development professional from a technology and sales background with years working experience. Presently responsible for solution product planning and sales from conceptualization to product and hardware delivery, management of the product lifecycle, including gathering, prioritizing product enhancement requirements, customer requirements, and coordination of product version release. I can go on, and let me just say this part is a proven track record of project management, sales growth, client management, and business performance through identification, planning, and implementation of business development strategies. Let me introduce to you your friend, and most of you already know him, Olubumi Aino. Put your hands together for Olubumi Aino as he comes on stage.
Olubumi Aino. Please, a round of applause. Let's encourage each other. Thank you.
Put your hands together for Olubumi Aino. Yes. Olubumi Aino. Please, a round of applause. Let's encourage each other. Thank you. Olubumi Aino. Please, a round of applause. Let's encourage each other. Thank you.
Yes, Olubumi, I know.
Oh, permit me to climb the stage before you, sir.
Yes. Yeah, we like your coordination, his jacket and his pants.
Put your hands together for Olubumi, I know, please. Were you expecting all that? It wasn't you, right? Okay. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Olubumi, I know. That is him. You can sit here, please. Yes. Thank you. I'm sure everybody is now fearing not. I am with you. All right, so this individual is a certified process and change management and transformation leader with over 20 years experience in sales driving growth, operational excellence, managing product and service, digital payments and improvement, and optimizing across multiple functional teams in the financial services industry and FMCG. This is some experience we have. He's had a career that started with Nigerian breweries. He already knows himself. I let the cat out of the bag early. Okay, and before the financial services, led project initiatives. Okay, let me just run down and read this one. He maintains a healthy stakeholder relationship across diverse teams, and he's a proud black belt of, what's it called again? Lean Six Sigma. Put your hands together for Kingsley Yamun. He's the head e-business group at Unity Bank. Put your hands together for Kingsley.
You're welcome, Kingsley. A round of applause for Kingsley. All black. He's actually black belts. He's dressed appropriately. Wow.
Okay. Now come this way, sir. Sit with Bumi. Okay, the black belts. All right. Okay, the next person I'm going to be calling up now is another familiar person that you all know. Okay, he's in digital payments. He is actually a digital payments enthusiast and veteran with over this 18 years will be me just being humble. 18 years connect experience spanning treasury and capital markets, corporate banking and payments. He helped financial institutions across the Middle East and Africa to digitize their business solutions, including his role. I'm not going to say this, but let me skip this because I don't want him to know he's the one I'm about to introduce now. Let me run down. So he currently has oversight of the financial services group at Interswitch, leading efforts geared towards value creation in retail payments, risk management, treasury, and trade finance with sub-Saharan Africa. I'd like to introduce to you the group head banking services for the Sisigra business division at Interswitch, no other than Toila Aga. Put your hands together for Toila, please.
All right, Toila. Round of applause for Toila, please.
By the way, I'm taking my time to introduce these individuals because I want you to understand the conversations we're having, people that know what they're talking about. Okay. So when we get into the session and we start discussing, don't be afraid of whatever you might want to ask them around the subject. Put your hands together once again for Toila. Toila, please, you have to come this way, sir. All right. Okay, so I hear we have some of our guests online. I'm sorry, you can see 2 empty seats here. And we have 2 people online right now that'll be joining. Let me not hold back on this person. Let me just tell you who he is. Guys, are we ready online?
Nicholson, yeah. I think we have a surprise.
Yeah, that's what I'm putting together.
Yes, we have a surprise.
Okay. Do you want to announce the surprise?
Oh, sure.
Please go ahead, please.
We have someone special who just stepped in. We have Jonah Adams. He's the MD, Sisigra Division Growth and Interswitch. Please, a round of applause for Jonah.
Please, I think we'll need Jonah up on the panel as well.
Yes, he's coming. Yes, please. That's why I introduced him.
I was saving his introduction for later.
In Interswitch, let's just be clapping till he gets here. Thank you. You're welcome, Jonah.
We have one of our MDs here.
Good to have you here, sir.
All right, good to have you, Jonah. Yes. Okay. All right. I think we have another surprise, right? So we have one of the MDs from Sistigra Business Division here. Online, we have the MD Pure Pay Business Division, no other than our favorite, Akeem Lawal.
Round of applause for Akeem.
He's joining virtually. So if the screen can come up, let's see his face as well so we can connect with him. All right. And for the last interesting person that we're bringing on the panel, this individual has a wealth of experience across, especially in the banking and financial industry. He's worked at different places. He's been the head of systems development and e-business at FSB International Bank, if you ever know that name. All right. He's also been a head applications and development and MIS for First Bank. He's also been the group head IT and operation at Value Card. I'm sure some people here have never heard of Value Card. Okay. And currently, he is the director, Payment Systems Management Department at the Central Bank of Nigeria. I'd like to introduce, he's going to be joining us online, and he's no other person than our favorite Jimoh Musa. Put your hands together for Jimoh Musa.
Jimoh Musa, it's good to have you online.
Okay, let's wait for him to connect as well. Oh, there's one more person that I'm supposed to introduce here. Okay.
I think we have Akeem on now. We can see him.
Oh, hello, Akeem. Wave if you can hear us. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I'm hoping you can hear me too.
Thank you very much, Akeem. What about Jimoh? Can we confirm Jimoh? Can we confirm Jimoh?
Yeah, I'm online, but my video appears to be disabled, so I can't.
Wow.
I can't turn on my camera.
Thank you very much, Jimoh. Thank you very much for joining.
I think he's okay now. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, great. So that's Jimoh Musa. Put your hands together for him one more time. All right, so I'll be handling the panel session and several conversations we're going to be having with you. So permit me to sit down. Let me sit down next to you, Toila. All right. I'm sure we're ready for the questions, right? Okay, please do not feel uncomfortable. Let's have enough microphones for our panelists, and while I put together the questions. Don't worry, they're easy questions, just things that we already handle. Okay, right. So in no particular order, I'm just going to ask general questions. I just want to just share your views around the subject. Of course, we know that what we're having today, we're discussing around collaborating for industry growth and profitability. Of course, we know the efforts we are all putting in concerning improving financial services. We've seen conversations come up. Femi Davis did a presentation on tokenization, also spoke about biometrics. You know, I'm very excited to be a part of this. It says the fourth industrial revolution that we're experiencing with technology, and each individual here with your audience, and even you guys, are like the leaders of these conversations. So I'm going to ask a question. Okay, let me do this question at the only person that's not from Interswitch on this seat here, and Kingsley. All right, so I'll be throwing this question at you, not to set you up, but I just want you to just tell us what you feel. I said, what is the nexus between banks, telcos, and PSBs? Before you go ahead, you understand what's going on. We can see that collaborations and partnerships and competition that might be coming up between these three segments of the industry. So what would you say is the next PSBs?
All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'll take that question like this. We have customers, 24 million odd BVNs today, or 34 thereabout, in the country, and we have customers that are banked. They have mobile numbers, mobile devices, whether it's a palasa or a smartphone. They have devices. If you notice, and we now have banks. What's common to devices? Telcos, right? And the first set of PSBs before some other newcomers came, they were all telco big boys, tech drivers. Now you have telcos, you have banks, you have phone numbers, you have financial inclusion. Now let's put all of them in a sentence. Mobile number, bank customers, banks, financial inclusion. The nexus I see is powering financial inclusion on steroids, essentially, by bringing on new players that can do what banks may not necessarily do with ease. You find PSBs going to areas of deep penetration. Everybody has a mobile device. A PSB can do transaction on that mobile device. Like with Femi's earlier presentation, opt on the adoption by Nigerians or adaptation of Nigerians to agencies or agency banking, as it were. Now you now find agent points are proliferated all over the country. So you're using agent points, your phone numbers, your customer as a person. You can bring all of them together to drive financial inclusion. At the end of the day, there's only one goal: financial inclusion, making sure the average Nigerian is not disenfranchised from financial services. And that's what the PSBs have come to do. And they're going to collaborate with the existing legacy organizations, i.e. banks, to make sure that this financial inclusion happens easier. And what are the drivers? We have, like I said, your mobile number, and you have these agents at the downstream sector, deep in the hearts of the country, where you don't have to go and put a brick-and-mortar branch all over the place. At the end of the day, the goal, which is the ultimate nexus, which I'll use to tie the thread, I'll tie all of them together, will be financial inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kingsley, for that. I think a follow-up question I have for you while I prepare for the next. Let me just say a follow-up question. So, at what point do these players connect, as a bank, telcos, and PSBs? So, at what point do they connect?
Look, the customer is the fulcrum of everything what happens. No customer, no transaction. It's a buying customer, a transacting customer that we're all looking for. So where do they connect? You can connect two ways. I just gave the customer end, the front end. Now let's go back end. You can connect at different points of infrastructure. I have my customer that has pushed his transaction up to my bank's wallet, for instance. Then up at my bank wallet, he wants to do a transaction at the PSB end. It's a value that he wants to acquire at the PSB end. So for my banking solution or my banking as a service, I should be able to collaborate with PSB to ensure that we can interoperate. Interoperability becomes a conversation right now, so that I can at that point get the value of my customer at that PSB point. So there must be infrastructural interoperability, and the customers must be able to rove round regardless of, without any barrier to accessing financial value creation and service fulfillment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kingsley. My next question is to Bumi, and still around the telcos, this nexus we're talking about. So what impacts would you say collaboration among banks, telcos, and PSBs, what would you say will be the impact have on the Nigerian payment industry?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. We're all here today because interoperability has become a norm in the ecosystem. It is very important that this continues to improve in the industry. Over 2 decades ago, we had few banks that were able to have few customers, but they were not able to open up channels to these customers to be able to do transactions from different points. Today we have interoperability amongst players, commercial banks, PSBs, telcos, fintechs, and MFBs. This has become a norm, and it has also increased the profitability of these organizations. It's important that we continue to innovate. When my colleague Femi presented a while ago, he talked about the need to now be able to authenticate transactions using other means of securing transactions, tokenization, biometrics, and all the likes. these are the ways in which we can continue to improvise, innovate, co-ideate, and ensure that we continue to improve this. When we do this, we increase profitability. In the past, we've also looked at scenarios whereby banks need to cut costs on how they maintain infrastructure. You need your ATM channels to be uptime 24/7. There were certain banks that needed to look at ways to ensure that these channels were available 24/7. And they didn't do that singly. They had to collaborate with certain service providers, introduce inverters and all the likes. So for me, I would say that we would continue to do that improvement, introduce new channels that would also ensure that customers can transact and do stuff from wherever they are. This will increase profitability, this will cut costs. Innovation is supposed to ensure that things are done easier and better. So it's important that all players continue to, think through new ways to do stuff. And that is why we're here today, and that's why we have our partners here to also continue to contribute to that, to make sure that we increase profitability across the industry.
Thank you very much, Bumi, for that response, because it's going to help me with my next question. And I'll be directing this question to Akim. Akim, can you hear me, please? Okay.
Yes, I can. Please confirm you can hear me.
All right. So my question is just taking it up from what Bumi mentioned now. We have in our partners here. So my next question is, what are the collaborative efforts that's considered with Interswitch in respect to business and growth objectives? What are the collaborative efforts that Interswitch is putting out there?
All right, thank you very much, Nicholson. And it's a pleasure to be on this panel and to be in this session today. I'm really sad that I cannot join you physically, but I'm very happy to be able to participate. Collaboration for growth and profitability is one that is really, really dear to my heart. Right? But I would like to draw attention to the other parts of that topic, right? So collaboration is one. But the essence of collaboration that we're discussing here is for growth and for profitability, right? And I think those 2 points are also equally important. And the reason why they're equally important is because the bedrock of successful collaboration or partnership usually has to be measured in value that it is creating for all the parties who are collaborating. We believe that participants in the industry will really only get value if they can grow and they can grow profitably. And I would like to use some of the historical collaborations that we're all aware of, and then talk about some of the current collaborations to drive the growth and profitability of the future, right? We are now all used to ATMs as a way of doing transactions, right? But in order to get the ATM network up and running, it required collaboration between so many different stakeholders, right? Actually, the entire industry. It required banks, it required switches and payment service providers, it required technology and service providers, it requires telcos and telecom providers, and then it required security consultants, financial advisors, and so on and so forth, right? And all of these stakeholders came together to build what became the ATM network that we're all enjoying today. Right? One of the principles that I think made that collaboration successful was the business model that was used to build it as well. It was a model where every participant in the value chain got value from every transaction that was successfully processed, right? So the gets value and pays a fee for that value, and all the participants in the value chain then get a share of that. Right? And that really was one of the bases on which you then achieved the growth and profitability that channel drove, right? Just as an example, and just to put this into context, in 2003, when the network started, there were, I think it was about 100 ATMs in the market, right? Today, we're talking at close to 30,000 ATMs, right? Which is probably a more recent development. in order to be able to deliver agency banking to customers and agency cash outs, right, it required collaboration from new players that were introduced and licensed by the central bank. Right? So in addition to the traditional players, the banks, the switches, the telecom network providers, they were now also the super agents and the agent networks who needed to come into this ecosystem to co-create value so that we can reach customers that ATMs could not reach. Right? Again, a model was built in which there was collaboration, and every participant in the value chain was able to get value from the transactions that were done. And again, the outcome is quite clear. I mean, 5 years ago, there were very, very few agent locations. I think as at the middle of this year, or as at the beginning of this year, there were over 1 million agent locations that were already enabled and doing transactions, right? Which means that we moved from 0 to 1 million in just a period of 1.5 years because we were able to create that value all the participants that collaborated, right? As we go into the future, it's really important that we recognize that collaboration is key amongst industry stakeholders for 3 main reasons. If we're going to achieve growth, right, we need to do it collaboratively. One individual cannot deliver the value that all customers are looking for. Right? If we're going to achieve profitability, we need to do it collaboratively because we need to build business models, reach everyone to participate and provide the best service that they can so that the entire industry delivers value. But also because we are codependent on one another. And if one party does not remain profitable, then the system might entirely break. Each system is interdependent on and then the final reason is really around security. The industry is so interconnected and so intertwined that if one party in that chain is not secure, you have a situation where the entire industry is affected. So collaboration has to happen on the back of the industry protecting itself against fraud, against bad actors, and creating systems that protect customers from loss of their funds. And it's in those 3 areas that Interswitch is continuing to drive industry collaboration, and it's one of the reasons why today's session is so important, what it is.
Thank you very much, Hakeem. Thank you for the clarity, and we can see a lot that Interswitch is doing in the industry. My next question will go to our other online guests, Jimo Musa. I'm excited to have you on this call. The last meeting I attended with you on it, I remember the way you were talking about it. That I remember when we started this thing. Now, Hakeem, you remember? It was a very interesting conversation. And now that you're working with the regulatory body, and we know the aspects what regulation does in maintaining and keeping the financial industry in check. So my question is this: what is the role of regulatory policies in driving collaboration between banks, telcos, and PSBs? Now, what we're looking for in this question now is this: how are you promoting policies to encourage healthy competition and collaboration amongst these parties?
Thank you very much. It's nice to be part of this Interswitch Techconnect. Your question is very apt. As a regulator, our responsibility is to create a regulatory environment where all the entities can thrive together and compete, in a very healthy manner. As a regulator, what we basically do is to set a very healthy regulatory terrain. We understudy all the different operations of the technology companies, the banks, the mobile money operators, and all the participants. And from time to time, we bring all these entities together to come and dialogue, to see things, to understand our perspective and share common objectives. And once that is done, we basically codify whatever we agree as the best industry practice. Best industry practice is based on our perspective. It's based on Nigerian perspectives. Though sometimes we look at what other countries are doing, what other jurisdictions are doing, but we are more particular about what makes Nigeria tick and what makes Nigeria payment system very successful. So we are very open. We are an open regulatory agency, and the supervisor of the payment operators and infrastructure. So collaboration is very key. We collaborate. We ensure that we are talking and listening to all the parties that are involved. We also engage by basically learning from other parties, from learning from initiatives, new initiatives, from learning from creativities, ideas, and enhancing our skills so that we better understand the operation. It's only when you understand what the entities that you regulate do that you'll be able to provide adequate supervision on them. So we also encourage collaboration among the entities. Definitely, because the infrastructure involved requires a lot of huge investment in technology, there will be a time when there will be conflicts. Conflicts in terms of operational dynamics, conflicts in terms of customer service and all that. You may call it dispute. I don't want to call it dispute, but something is going to happen in which two entities would have to squabble it out. There again, the regulator comes in to ensure that we provide an environment where we can settle the issues and ensure that there is symbiotic relationship and very firm interoperability among all the connecting entities. So we provide regulation, we provide guidance, we provide a regulatory mechanism by which all the entities can come together. And not only just the participant, sometimes we go public. We bring entities that are not even within our regulatory purview to come and have a dialogue. For example, we've commenced an implementation of a regulatory sandbox. And one of the core objectives of that regulatory sandbox is to bring entities that are not even within our regulatory purview to come and test their innovative ideas. So those are some of the collaboratory efforts we put in place to ensure that all the entities that are providing financial services, providing technology services, providing digital services can work together for a common good of Nigerians, and of course to promote, the financial stability in this country and then project the image of Nigeria. So in summary, as a regulator, we stay in between, working like a hub and spoke kind of connectivity. We stay in the center and we connect to all the regulatory, all the operators to make sure that we create a very robust environment under which they can operate effectively and even profitably. That's what we do as a regulator.
Very much for that feedback. And that's going to take me to my next question. So let me just have your attention, Jimo. So the next question is this. I kind of wish Jimo can be around for tomorrow's session with the fintechs. I know they will have a lot that they want to discuss with CBN. But maybe this next question might help out in shedding more light to what more the CBN is doing regards fintech development. And this question is that in some quarters, the extension of capital adequacy ratio to fintechs and OFIs is seen as a barrier to entry for new players into the subsector. So the question is, can you shed more light on the CBN's objectives for extending this policy to fintechs and OFIs who do not hold?
Technology is very expensive. The operation is also very expensive, and the services they offer is also very complex. And therefore, it requires a lot of attention. It requires a lot of financial muscle to put them in place. I can tell you, Interswitch is here. If they tell you how much they have invested in technology, you'll be shocked. And so what we try to do is to make sure that every single entity that we regulate, every single entity that participates in financial service offering has adequate requirement, financial, operational, technology. They are adequately, equipped to provide those kind of services. We do not want a situation where a technology component fails and it creates a domino effect among the other entities. When you started speaking, or one of the speakers here talked about interoperability. All our various technology components, all our various services are interoperated, are interconnected. And so if you have an entity that is not well equipped in terms of, providing the adequate technology requirement, supports, and operational resilience, then a failure in that entity can actually create an effect across the entire, value chain. This is why we always make sure that every entity that wants to provide financial services, digital financial services, meets certain minimum requirements. And we didn't just wake up and set a particular figure. We look at the dynamics of their operation, the complexity of their operations, and what we think they would need as a minimum to have a company running. Whether you make a profit this month or not, you must continue to maintain your technology. Your system must be 24/7 running. You will pay staff. You maintain equipment and all that. You pay rents. You have to provide power that takes on your equipment. So there is a cost that has to be going on. And that's why we put a minimum shareholder fund that we expect every institution to have. Now, I want you to understand that this money is not being kept with CBN. It's an ongoing concern for your company to maintain certain healthy status. So the minimum capital requirement that we require for all these entities is basically to ensure that they can keep on operating, that they don't fail in their obligations, that they are able to provide the kind of support that their system and their company needs to continue to thrive in the business that they choose to regulate. And of course, we look at the kind of business you do, and so we don't have the same shareholder fund requirement for all entities. For example, switching and processing companies have larger shareholders fund requirement than, for example, a PTSD and all that. So we look at those considerations, the kind of business you do, your expansion, the kind of network, how you are connected, the interconnectedness, and that's basically how we are able to arrive at the minimum shareholders fund requirement. But as you know, this is not going to be static, because what costs you 10,000 naira 10 years ago is not going to be 10,000 naira now. It will of course cost more. And so, without even telling you, all the entities need to up their entity. You need to shore up your capital, because you need more funds to be able to play in this business. Like I said, technology is very expensive, and so anybody who is running on technology platform, who drives business with technology, really need to be solid in doing that, so that you don't create damage to the public that you provide services to, and you also don't harm your components, your partners, your other entities that you are connected to. The ultimate objective is to have a very financially and sound system. So that's why we take those kind of actions.
Thank you very much for that. That was extensive. Okay, my next question will be going to Jonah, and I don't want to just keep you waiting. I was saving you for my round of questions, but let me just ask you. It's more or less like seeking your counsel. That's what this question is about. And so it's like, can you advise us on how, or rather identify how players in the payment industry can contribute to Nigeria's financial inclusion growth? So probably you can advise on how players, this nexus we're talking about, how they can contribute to Nigeria's financial inclusion growth.
Okay. Thank you. Again, thanks. And thanks for the opportunity. Thanks, Jimon, for being here. I think I would try to situate the question in the context of what we're discussing, okay? And I would like to start with the words of Burna Boy. I'm sure you guys will be shocked. Why Burna Boy? At the end of the last, everybody could do okay? The conversation has always been, how do you, between the banks, the telcos, and the PSBs, how will all of this shape out, okay? How will payment evolve over the next 10 to 20 years, okay? And the perspective I have, and I think this stems from what you see around the industries. Look, today, the world is changing, and it's changing rapidly, okay? Like you mentioned, at the heart of all of this is the customer. Before now, what we find is we've tried to influence the way that customers make payment transactions. For us to do that, most of the payment transactions that we see today is driven from banking and financial services, okay? In the last 20 years, we've relied on the telco to help us carry that traffic, and facilitate those transactions. Okay? But we've seen in the last 5 years a significant level of convergence and consolidation in terms of how customers do their transactions, largely away from the traditional model. Before now, you want to do banking services, you have to go to the bank. Then you moved on to the mobile device. Mobile device runs off the telco network. What do we expect to see in the next 5 to 10 years? What we expect to see in the next 5 to 10 years is the kind of networks we will see is not one that even the telcos will probably have influence over. So what are they trying to do? They're trying to take a bet. Look, if my telco business is going to change dramatically, where else can I move up in the value chain? The natural state is payment. Okay? We've seen banks' books transform in the last 10 years in Nigeria. In the last 10 years, revenues from banks have moved from nearly 0 to about 40%. All of those revenues built around payment transactions and payment income. So when you step back and you look at it, what is the role of payment in the next 20 years? The banks are sitting in their boardroom and they're saying, look, 40% of my revenue is now payment, is growing rapidly. What do I need to do to protect this? The telcos are sitting in their boardrooms and they're saying, well, before now, a significant chunk of my revenue used to be voice and data. Voice and data on the back of people doing financial services and the rest of it. This thing is going away. What do I need to do to protect it? Initially, it was the telcos on the back of the Safaricom experiment wanting to get into the banking space so they can capture payment transactions. Okay? While these two are trying to sort themselves out, new models have evolved where we now see payment service banks joining the foray. So the question is, who will dominate between the banks trying to protect their payment business, the telcos trying to get into the action, seeing that that's where the future is, and the PSBs coming to join the party? Like I said, last, everybody will be fine. What we've seen in the market is everybody will get a piece of the action. And why I believe the Nigerian market will live through to that creed is because when you see what all of us have done today, we're just at 20% market penetration. We still have 80% of the market to digitize and bring out those payment transactions. So the real juice for most of us, whether you're a bank, whether you're a telco, or whether you are a PSB, is how do I ensure that whatever network, whatever infrastructure, whatever ecosystem I build, I retain all the payment transactions within my system. And what is everybody thinking? The banks think, I need to set up a telco, I will get an MVNO license. The bank thinks I need to set up a fintech so that I can capture payment transactions. Will it work? Will it not work? Unfortunately, I'm not Nostradamus, but we'll see in 5 years' time when we gather for Interswitch Connect. The telcos clearly, they've seen what has happened in Safaricom and in a few other markets. They strongly believe, like MTN, their 1.something trillion revenue will not be there in another 5 years. What I need to capture is payment transactions, okay? And the way to capture that is to jump on the train that is currently driving industry digitization. Why? The more you digitize industry, the more you generate payment transactions. So you see, they've seen that. They are mobilizing resources, they are getting licenses, and they are coming to play. All they are looking for is the same payment transactions that the bank is looking for. And of course, the PSB, the new kid in the block, the new kids on the block, they're saying, okay, I think I can do it better than the first two guys. Like I said, these are things that will evolve. But what we know is that at the heart of what is coming is payment is what everybody is looking for. The way I see it is the same one transaction that different parties are just capturing in different places. So the key conversation is, of this one transaction, how much of it can I appropriate? My guess is that the banks that remain as banks will probably capture 20%. The telcos that evolve to become telco tech, like they're calling themselves now, they will capture 60%. The PSBs will probably capture 5%. Then don't forget us, the original fintechs will probably hold the balance 15. Okay? So if I was to draw out a map for what the industry will look like, it will be these three players plus us, fintechs, will continue to remain in the foray. However, who captures what for every transaction will just get distributed. Okay? Now, don't forget, in all of these, there are new technologies that are also coming on board. The telcos, we think the telcos is the threat. But let's not forget Oga Starlink, Elon Musk, and the likes of them. Satellites will probably be the new infrastructure that we're going to build the next generation of payment products on top. Okay? So I think we're set for interesting times. What everybody is looking for, whether you are digitizing an industry, you're trying to make your bank digital, you're trying to make it more lean, or you are a telco coming into the payment space, payment will be at the heart of the future. Okay? And what I see that is certain is that a lot of payment decisions will not be taken by humans. It will largely be taken by machines, by systems, by devices. And that's another dimension to it.
Thank you very much for that elaborate response. If you want to clap, go ahead. It's the reason why I was saving you for my round-off. Anyways, so I have a question for the person sitting next to me. I know we're not co-panelists. How would I put it? But I have a question for you, Toyla. And, well, it may similarly run around what Jonah was able to shed a lot of light on. Here's my question. Okay, so what are some of the opportunities, just like Jonah talked about, space, Elon Musk. Okay, so what are some of the opportunities inherent in collaboration among these industry players?
Thank you very much, Nicholson. At some point, I was beginning to think that I was also a co-panelist. Thank you for the opportunity. You know, Nicholson, in the day, is a salesman, but it looks like at night he's an MC. And a big thank you as well to all our partners who have made out time to come. You probably would have noticed, through all the conversations that we don't regard you as customers. You know, you're indeed partners with us on our journey. I think you can give yourself a big round of applause. Thank you so much. All right, so I really had such a great time, listening to conversations around collaboration, and this topic is actually quite an interesting one, speaking around telcos, banks, and then PSBs. And at some point during the conversation, I was wondering, is Interswitch a bank? Is Interswitch a telco? Is Interswitch a PSB? And of course, this is Interswitch Techconnect. But I think that pretty much speaks to how we see, the industry. We see ourselves as being collaborators, working with, all the stakeholders in the value chain, to ensure that we provide the right support, provide the right technology to drive their businesses. This is our industry and we're quite passionate about it. Speaking specifically to Nicholson's questions, I see a lot of opportunities, to collaborate. I think Jonah as well spoke about it. I'll just give two very simple examples. There was a time, which was not too long ago, by the way, where banks believe so much in investing in technology, hardware, but as business evolved, it became quite obvious, that to own computing power, at large scale is probably what banks are not in the business of. Banks are in the business of banking. So of course that created opportunity for the Azures of this world, the AWSs as well. Also, when we look at that thought, around banking and, allowing banks to focus on what their core business is, around microfinance banks, for instance, what we've seen over the last couple of years is, a situation where MFBs, in most cases, just want to do business, and they're looking for reliable partners, to help them along that journey. And that's really where Interswitch sits at the heart of the conversation, providing end-to-end technology, such that for microfinance banks, for telcos, PSBs, they can literally go to sleep while we keep, the lights on. And in doing this, we've built out lots of technologies. We're launching a couple today. Payment as a service is one, that speaks to that aspiration. Bank as a service as well is another, and fraud as a service. I'm sure I'll be speaking very shortly to you on fraud as a service. So this shows that Interswitch continues to innovate. That was our mantra 20 years ago, and we're still at it. And another big pillar for us is we're enablers of business, and that is how we'll continue to situate even as the conversation moves forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toyla. Okay, so my final question, I'll be directing it to our representative from the Apex Bank, Jima Musa. We find it as, we're quite excited that you're a part of this session. We know the painstaking approach you had to put in place to be able to attend this TechConnect. So, but this, just like final words, my question is, what are the measures? Because I'm asking this because we see you as an outsider looking in. So what are the measures the banks, telcos, and PSBs, what measures do they need to put in place to ensure growth and profitability?
Okay, thank you very much. I think the number one thing that we drive among all the participating entities in the financial system offering is collaboration. We need a lot of collaboration. All the operators need one another. A bank cannot perform its function. You can't provide digital financial services without telecommunication infrastructure. In fact, you may not even be able to connect all your banks together, without telecommunication infrastructure. Same thing with other service providers. And the telcos also need, the banks, because the banks also provide last mile services to their customers. For example, a lot of telco customers buy their airtime using the bank apps, or they go to the bank's ATM or any of the delivery channels to buy telco services. So it's a very symbiotic relationship I really want to create in them. From your own turf, make sure that you provide the best. Banks should provide an excellent financial service. Telecommunication companies should provide excellent telecommunication services. Make sure that our digital efficiency is very, very high, and make sure that you have your presences in the nooks and crannies of this Nigeria, so that Nigerians that are using digital devices can actually access their financial information and accounts, through the networks that are provided. We'll call it internet access, call it USSD, or whatever. Any telecommunication services that they provide, it should be up and running and very pervasive. It should be everywhere in the nooks and crannies of this country. This is the only way we can push financial inclusion to those in the rural communities. And so for the PSBs are also banks, and thankful enough, we have opened the doors for telecommunication companies to join the foray. They can also provide payment service, banking services to Nigerians through subsidiaries. So it's now a very symbiotic relationship that we all have. We all need ourselves. And so what we'll be doing as the entity at the center is to make sure that the regulations that promotes, good conducts among the participants, the regulation that strengthens interoperability, the regulations that ensures consumer protection. Those are the kind of things we will continue to provide and, encourage their buy-in into working together as a country so we can provide the consumers, the Nigerian public, very strong and efficient financial services. Thank you.
And thank you very much. Put your hands together for Musa Jimo for the closing remarks. And that comes to the end of our panel session. Thank you very much, panelists. Please put your hands together for the panelists and for this session. Weekends.
Thank you. Okay, I think, Jonah, I think they want us to take a picture. So it's picture time. Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for the...
Please, a round of applause for our panelists. Thank you very, very much. That was an insightful session. I think Toila is just taking a 1 minute break because we have another presentation now from Toila. I'm sure he can hear me. All right. So right now we'll be taking the topic on fraud prevention as a service by Toila. I know that prior to now we've had a lot of questions around fraud. So I'm sure this session will answer a lot of those questions that were raised. Thank you. A round of applause for Toila once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks again for having me. Looks like everyone has been waiting for me, this conversation around fraud. All right, so I think we should be ready to start once the slide comes up. I see a lot of people are chatting away. Looks like I'm the one standing between maybe lunch or something. So please just give me your attention, just a few minutes. I'll try to run through my based on a lot of takes a decision. This is a high-risk transaction flag, but again leaves that decision to the bank, to the issuer or to the acquirer to take. Can we move to the next slide? All right, so this is just showing the architecture of the solution. Lots of diagrams, but I think the key thing here is the fact that it's actually a multi-tenant system where banks, microfinance banks, fintechs can come in as tenants, on this solution. Can we move to the next slide? And this is hosted at Interswitch. Some of the benefits of this solution, I've spoken about this already. Card fraud prevention, payment fraud, anti-money laundering, merchant acquiring prevention, etc. Can we move to the next slide? All right, other product offerings. Next slide. Next slide, please. All right, so looks like that's the only product offering. So I'll take any questions if you have. I hope the presentation was worth your time. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to attempt to answer.
All right, thank you so much, Toila. Any questions, please? Questions? Okay, we have one person here. I'll come to you, sir. Okay. All right. Please, like we did before, your name and organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Shamsuddin is my name, Jais Bank PSC. To start with, I don't know, maybe the organizer can speak to this. Are we likely going to have this slide shared? Okay. That would be much appreciated. Meanwhile, we would like to know what's the like the roadmap for this solution. When is it meant to be available? You know, earlier on you mentioned that the current one, which is Scorebridge, I mean, it is to be sunset. So we want to know what is the replacement period will be like. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Shamsuddin, right? Okay, interesting question. So that we're presenting the product at TechConnect means that the product is launched officially. So I'm sure that's something to clap about.
Please stand, a round of applause. Thank you so much, everyone.
So the product is already in production, and we're working already with a couple of banks. Shamsuddin, I'm sure I'll be reaching out to you, to pilot as well. Thank you.
We have another question here.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. My name is Jimmy, FSDH, Merchant Bank. The product, it comes with AI, right, as you have rightly said. And I'm sure as more different institutions, platforms plug in, the solution will be building models based on their data. I want to ask if an advantage of going with this solution is if participating institutions get the benefit of models built from other institutions' use cases, even though they may not have experienced that, because that will be one of the attractions of coming to a product like this.
So that's a very interesting question. So I see the advantage in the fact that it's a SaaS model, so it's shared. So for the reason that it's shared, it means that those behavioral models flow across the platform. Thank you.
Another question?
Okay, just to find out, so at First Bank, we also have a behavioral monitoring solution, or what we call a fraud management system. So on our first mobile, for instance, is it going to be a double management solution that will have the one in-house and this one, or how do we integrate that? Ours is a rule-based, but I think yours, you're saying, is AI-enabled. Ours just looks at the out-of-pattern transactions of customers and then flag it to say, okay, we need to watch out for this. So how do we integrate both for better fraud detection? Thank you.
Interesting. That's a lead already. So I'm happy to have those conversations with you, immediately after the presentation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Femi from First Bank. Thank you, Toila. That will be all for now. Please, a round of applause for Toila. Thank you so much for that presentation. Just a quick one. We have lunch served for everyone. So we would like to dine with you. So it's not just about work. We also want to balance things out. So thank you very much. We also have gift bags for everyone. If you check around you, I don't know if anyone has seen this card. Do you have it on around your seats? Please do help us scan the QR code and follow the instructions. We'll be most grateful if you did that. Thank you very much. Just to go further and be the last presentation for today, I'd like to invite Innocent Itobore. He's the group head, Lending Services, Pure Pay Division, Interswitch. A round of applause for Innocent, please. Innocent? Thank you very much. All right. While we wait for Innocent, remember the assignments we gave earlier. We'll still come back to it before we leave. Thank you very much. Innocent, you have the floor. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to stand before you this afternoon to present our innovative product. First, I would like to introduce myself. Like my mother would say, my name is Innocent Ehijema Itobore, and I have the opportunity of leading the Interswitch lending business and also the data business also under the leadership of Akim Lawal in Pure Pay. Now, just to provide a bit of context before my slide comes up, the Interswitch lending service is mainly that support lending institutions to go digital. So our primary focus is to drive business growth for individual and business across Africa. So we're pretty much test running with Nigeria, like an MVP. And I must say that we've done so well in the area of cash lending. Today, we're one of the biggest processors for nano lending, micro lending, high value lending. So having said that, today we would focus on one of our new initiatives. We've been working on trying to change how consumer pays. A lot has been said today, and of course our guest speaker from the Apex Bank also mentioned that technology is expensive. As your partner, as your technology partner in driving innovative lending products, one of the problems we want to solve for you is to take away the technology headache. Let's do the conceptualization. Let's conceptualize for you. Let's do the development and develop and deliver to you whilst you thrive and the lending landscape. Okay, so I'd like to jump into the presentation right away. Okay, maybe I would also take Toila's part whilst my presentation slide is coming up. One of the major focus for us in looking at the African market, we realize that the major catch is largely around one, population, the adoption rate in terms of mobile phones, and internet usage, which has made the African continent very attractive, and Nigeria is one of the biggest. Yeah, and in also taking a look at the e-commerce space, we realize that pre and post-COVID, a lot has happened in terms of how consumer purchase today, and Africa being largely cash-driven economy, as opposed to developed economies where the system is pretty much credit-driven, you find out that it poses some level of challenge, which is consumers are limited to purchasing or buying with cash. In addition to that, the inflation rate has been very wonderful. Please take it back. The inflation rate has been very wonderful of recent, and pretty much it has impacted the purchasing powers of consumers. So what happened in that regard? You find out that consumers are not so... Please, next slide. Can you move on, please? Oh, no. Okay, don't worry. Let me talk through. There is some slide before this. Okay, so what you find out that there is a problem. The problem is that consumers are now limited to cash. And we thought of how do we change this such that we can increase consumer satisfaction in terms of being able to do or meet urgent needs and wants. We also thought around how do we also impact merchants such that they're able to increase sales digitally. We also thought about you, our partners. Today, a number of you are already on our lending platform as a channel partner, as lenders. How do we increase opportunities such that you can have a more share of the lending opportunity with the technical unit? So we came up with a new solution we call the Buy Now, Pay Later, powered by Interswitch, and it's called Verve on Credit. I think we deserve a round of applause for that. It's called Verve on Credit. Thank you. I said I was going to actually throw in the promo today. My director is not physically here. I will go back and prostrate and get approval. So the number of partners that jump on this product as a result of this event, I am already telling you that we would waive the tech integration fee for those institutions. We can talk afterwards, right? So taking a deep dive into the solution. So what have we designed? So we want to change the way consumer pays. So today, there are quite a lot of adoption across the e-commerce platform. People are limited to cash. So we've developed an infrastructure today that can now help you serve your customers. There are this. One is our existing e-commerce platform, which is QuickTeller. Today, there are millions of transactions happening there, from buying airtime, data, payments of bills, payments, and the like. So today, your customers are also there. We are providing that opportunity where you can come on the platform, leverage this solution, and then be able to fund your customers' purchase We also have exposed this same solution on our web pay platform. Today we'll hear about Quick Teller Business, where we have loads of merchants and businesses. You can also purchase from these merchants and pay on credit if you don't have cash to pay. All right? And for the big banks that are in the house, I know the question will be, okay, we would also like to extend this to our customers, existing and new customer within the bank. We have also designed, we can also give this to you, as a white label solution that you can deploy backend and still be able to use it to serve your customer. And finally, the primary target is all e-commerce platforms. So wherever there is an exchange of tech, we want to put this verb on credit. We want to stamp it there. So what you're going to start seeing pretty soon is that most platforms you go, you would see verb on credit. And I will hope that we can have an extensive discussion on this after the presentation. So for the sake of time, I will just quickly run you through the user journey. As mentioned, we have in designing this, a lot was put into consideration. One, the banks that want to take this as a white label solution to serve their existing customer, the OFIs, that's the fintechs and other financial institutions, and of course, the e-commerce platform that would like to use this. So let me quickly run you through the journey for the banks. So for the banks today, at the checkout points, you have your customer. If you see the bottom, you have verb on credit. That is, you don't want to pay with your card or you don't have sufficient funds. And for you to proceed, you want to leverage the credit product. So when you click on verb on credit, the platform requires you to provide your telephone number if you are not already on the Quick Teller platform or the QTB platform. And if you are, you provide your login details to log into your wallet. Next slide, please. Now, having done that, you would see I am Bank ABC. If I deploy this on my platform and I begin to expose my customer, other banks will poach them. That has been addressed here. At this point, when the customer picks your bank, let's say ABC Commercial Bank, when you come to the point where after picking your bank, you are required to provide your account details. So what happened is that we're able to match your customer to the bank. So the offer that will come to your customer will be your offer alone. Let me take that again. Or let's use, the banks, the obvious banks we have today. Say Access Bank. So I'm an Access Bank customer to Quick Teller platform. I try to purchase. I don't have sufficient funds. When I pick Access Bank and I input my account details, the offer that will come forth to that buyer will be the offer from Access Bank, except one, the person does not have any credit offer from Access Bank, or the amount extended is not sufficient, then the person can skip and explore other lenders on the platform. So we were very deliberate in building this in to bring some level of comfort to banks that have concerns around how do we ensure we retain customers. Next slide, please. Next slide. So the offer goes to the customer, an OTP is sent to validate the transaction. It's successful. The fund goes to the merchant, and your customer gets value. Simple, straightforward, few steps. Next slide. So for OFIs, it's still the same flow. Okay, next slide. But what changes is that if the customer is not taking the loan from your bank and now wants to take from will be required to provide card details or tokenization. Next slide. And provide the PIN and OTP is sent to validate, and the transaction is successful. Okay, so the moderators are already waving from the back. That's the much I can take right now. But immediately after the presentation, after the Q&A, I'm happy to meet with anyone that wants to discuss further on this. And wait, please, just a few seconds before I wrap up. In addition to this, like I said, we're quite innovative. And lending landscape, we're trying to make sure that we push a lot into the market pretty soon as for our partners. So one of the opportunities we have in the pipeline that I would like to start discussing with you is the direct debit engagement. Now, we have looked into this. Now, when it comes to credit, one of the critical aspects of credit that bothers lenders is how do I collect my money back? Today, we have industry players from different banks here today. We have an initiative where we want to aggregate different direct debit API, where we can also now begin to encourage the lending landscape. And it comes with a very good rev share. Happy to discuss that with you. Then in addition to that, I'm also aware, or we are all aware that the Apex Bank also require us to meet our loan to deposit ratio, and quite a number of banks still struggle. So it is either you want to meet your LDR or you want to increase your market reach. I'll be happy to discuss with you at the back end how we can work together to achieve this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Innocent. I think we can just take one question. Any questions? Okay. Questions? Okay. No questions.
Maybe one or two questions.
Yes,
So what do you think?
yes. We don't have any questions as of now. All right. Thank you so much, Innocent. A round of applause. Please, a round of applause for Innocent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for that presentation. As earlier mentioned, lunch is served. We're excited about it. I am particularly pumped about it. I'm sure my voice is louder because I've had food. So, yes, food is served, and so we'll be rounding off right now. As mentioned earlier, please, we plead and ask that you scan the QR code.
Maybe they can just do it now. Let's
Oh,
do it
yes,
together.
it would be nice to just do it right now. I know that they are.
How many of you have the cards with you? If you have the card.
Yes.
Can you pick up the card and let's scan it together? Can we do that?
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
you've
you
already
so
done
much.
so.
Oh, yes.
Okay, this team scan.
Yes.
So the team here has scanned already. Any other teams within your lounge? Okay, I think this time you become accountable for your neighbor. Say, neighbor, have you scanned? Please get an answer. Oh, neighbor hasn't scanned here. There's a neighbor that hasn't scanned here. Please, let's do that.
Please,
Just
would
scan
appreciate.
the barcode.
Yes, would appreciate that a lot. We also have gift cards for you. And just to close out on this wonderful event, I would like to invite Joda Adams. He's the MD, Sistegra Division, Interswitch. Please, a round of applause for.
Please put your hands
Jonah
together for
Adams.
Jonah Adams.
Round of applause, please. Thank you.
Keep it going.
Thank you so much, Jonah. Thank you, sir.
Since I'm the one standing between you and lunch, I will speak very slowly. So we can finish. Yes, so we can finish by 2023 after we've elected obedient or articulated or batified.
Last, everybody will chop lunch.
Okay, on behalf of the board management of Interswitch, I'd like to say a big thank you to all of you for coming. The first big thank you would be to Central Bank. They own all of us, technically. So I'd like to say a big thank you to Mr. Musa Jimo, who took time out of his busy schedule to be at this event and provided some insight into some of the things that they are doing around the industry. We also like to take the opportunity to thank all the banks that were here. I think about nearly everybody was represented here, so thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day to come. We also like to thank the new kids on the block. I think we had 3 or 4 PSBs that were in the room. They are still relatively new. I know some of your colleagues from the banking sector crossed over to PSB. So when it comes to Joshua Fury boxing, you guys are familiar with each other. Bass goes, everything will be all right. Last. We also like to say a big thank you to some of our friends in the fintech industry that have come on board. And then, of course, from the telcos. So thank you very much. And we do hope to see you at tomorrow's evening event when we have the dinner. So thanks, and God bless you, and safe journey back to your various offices and locations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jonah. Thank you.
Just to reiterate what Jonah said, we're having a cocktail event tomorrow. It's going to be fun. I think I'm already deciding what I'm going to wear.
Right.
I have to come on point tomorrow. It's going to be fun. We're still going to be discussing some of these things one-on-one, but it's going to be fun. Music, alternate sound is going to be there.
Yeah.
I also heard
OK Bakassi.
is going to be there. Nicholson is going to be there.
Oh, sure. Live. Wem is going to be there.
Yes. I'm sure Femi Davis wants to see me tomorrow.
I mean, the two Femis can actually jiggy tomorrow.
You know?
All right. So it's beyond just talking about work. Like we said at the beginning of the event, we're discussing collaborations. We're looking for, we're not just competitors in this industry. We are actually drivers of the industry. And so tomorrow's cocktail event is going to be promoting togetherness. And that's the uniqueness of the event for tomorrow. So I'd like to invite every one of you here to come for the cocktail. It's going to be at Echo Hotel. It's at Echo Hotel. Tomorrow starts by 5 p.m. So we're starting on time. So once you hit it, once you get there, the party starts. And I'll be looking forward to seeing each and every one of you.
All right. And then on behalf of the management, as Jonah mentioned, thank you so much for gracing this event. And to our online viewers, thank you so much.
Online, yes. The guys online, we've not forgotten about you. You're also invited to the cocktail, so just come around tomorrow.
Yes, thank you so much. And I think at this point, we can call it a day. We can proceed for our lunch. And yes, online lunch.
Online lunch. So lunch, just go down the stairs. The restaurant is open. Just go in there and enjoy your lunch. Pick up your gift packs on your way out.
Yes,
and thanks for coming once again.
Yes.
Have a good day, everyone.